Hey everyone, Isabel Fox here, and today I'm going to be walking you through my 4 simple steps to remain invisible when meeting clients in hotels. I've come into contact with a lot of girls who find it quite anxiety inducing to go to outcalls, just simply due to the fact that they have to wait in areas to meet with clients in public. Especially if you're doing outcalls in the same area that you live in. So perhaps you're from Sydney and maybe you've grown up there your whole life and you're going to outcalls to big hotels in the city. It can be quite nerve-wracking to think that somebody might see you there and see you lingering around in hotel lobbies waiting to meet with somebody. Now, the chances of this happening are actually pretty slim, but it's still not something you want to have to worry about or think about. It can also just be a little bit awkward in general to be meeting with somebody who you don't know in a public place when you're about to do what you're going to do and try to make it look natural and discreet. So we're going to talk through my 4 simple steps, 4 different methods that you can use to make this situation way more discreet and simply make yourself invisible when you're there. So my first step is don't meet on the same level as reception. This may seem obvious, I know. However, most clients will actually just recommend this. They don't put as much thought into it as you do, even though they actually may be nervous to meet you in a public place too. They just don't seem to be as creative in this way. So they'll generally just say, meet me in the lobby or meet me at reception. So here are some discreet and easy alternatives instead. You can meet on a level that doesn't require a key pass, such as the restaurant, the bar, the spa, or the gym. You should ask your client to scout out a location when he arrives that is accessible. You'll probably also find that you tend to go to the same hotels. Whatever level you're advertising at, the sort of clientele that you have will probably stay at the same places time and time again. So you can know these places in advance yourself. You only need to go there once and find it, and then you'll be able to go there every time. Or if the hotel doesn't have anything like that, so there's absolutely no level that you can get access to without a key that you can meet your client at, you can meet at the building next to the hotel or somewhere within the immediate vicinity. Now, I don't like this one quite as much if it's nighttime, just because of security purposes. Obviously, if you meet them next door, you then have to walk with them over to the hotel. But if you're going straight to a CBD somewhere and it's a really busy area, then it's probably quite safe. There'll be plenty of people around, not that different really to meeting them in the reception and just walking a few extra steps. They can also meet you there, give you a separate room key. They can go back first and then you can follow them back. I've had a number of clients who actually have suggested this because they don't want to be seen walking at all with you in public, which is understandable, or through the hotel rather. They probably don't want the staff to see you guys together and see you walking into the same room. In all actuality, to be honest guys, people aren't really looking at you as much as you think they are. When somebody sees an attractive young girl, or it doesn't really matter what age you are or how attractive you are, when they see you sitting around, they do not generally immediately jump to think that you are an escort. So try to keep that in mind. It is obviously your own paranoia that heightens this for you. It's still really not a nice feeling to be sitting around. I know how uncomfortable that can be. So definitely still use these methods, but just know that if you're sitting in a hotel lobby for a few minutes and then you meet with somebody, most people, the normal everyday person, is not going to jump to thinking that about you, especially if you dress a little more discreetly. Number 2 is have the client waiting for you before you arrive. So arrange the time of your meeting so that your client is already at your meeting spot before you get there. This saves you having to sit around looking a bit lost and clueless. You can either tell him you're a few minutes away when you're 10 or 15 minutes away, which means that the client is going to be the one waiting for you. Or you can also just explain that it is more discreet if he is at your meeting spot a few minutes before you arrive, and most clients will be understanding and cooperative. Especially men will try their best to be quite accommodating when they're meeting with you as a female. They understand that you're coming to them. They want to try and make you feel at ease. They will generally be very happy to go out of their way just a little bit to make you feel comfortable. So especially if you're young or they perceive you to be young, they will tend to be particularly helpful for you. So don't be afraid of just saying, I prefer to remain discreet when we meet, and I found that it's best if you're there just before me so that I avoid having to sit around waiting for you. I can just walk straight up to you. Now, if you arrive and your client says he is delayed, you don't have to sit around. You can find the bathroom and wait till he says he is there. So if you get there and you're at the spot and then he says, I'll be there shortly, or just 5 minutes, or I'm just about to come down, then perhaps if you think that's going to be too long and you're going to start to feel uncomfortable, then just find the bathroom, wait in there, and then when he texts and says, I'm here, you can say, oh, I'm coming right now, I just had to step away. And then you can say, I just had to use the bathroom. It's really not a big deal. If he's waiting a couple of minutes and he seems a little bit annoyed, just smile it off and get focused on the booking and having a good time together. I've rarely ever found that. Actually, no, I've never found that to be a problem for any client. And I've done that a few times before. 3, know what your client is wearing and tell him what you're wearing. So that awkward guessing game upon meeting can be very easily avoided. Ask your client what he is wearing and tell him what you're wearing too. And don't be afraid to ask for details, guys, if what he says is vague. So if he says, I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt, you can say, what color shirt are you wearing? And what color shoes are you wearing? You can ask him, what does your hair look like? You can ask him, do you wear glasses? Generally, when you ask a client this, they will be accommodating and they will give you helpful information. But if they aren't, then don't worry about prying. You can just flirt with him and say, I just want to make sure that I don't spoil the wrong guy. Say something like that. He'll like that. Then also be specific with your own description. So don't just say, I'm in a dress. There are going to probably be, if you're at a busy hotel, a number of people in dresses, so help him out, make it easier so that he can walk straight up to you. You can tell him, I'm wearing a long grey coat, I have long dark curled hair, and red lipstick. If you step out and you feel that you have nothing on that identifies you, then perhaps just put something on that identifies you. So maybe put on a bit of lipstick. Maybe pick a particularly coloured bag so that you can tell him, I'm holding a green bag, something like that. Make it easy for him because you're ultimately making it easier for yourself. If he can spot you immediately, he'll walk straight up to you. So you don't have to linger around wondering which suited man is the one that's there for you. Number 4, and lastly, ask if you can arrive dressed casually, and I actually really like this one. Now, don't be worried here about ruining the fantasy, because most clients would also prefer discretion and they will understand your need to feel comfortable. So like I said earlier, most clients will also be conscious of not drawing attention to the fact that he is meeting a woman in a hotel lobby, because just as you are nervous, he is probably nervous about the same things as well, especially if he's also from that area, or if he's on a business trip and there are business people around, he's going to want to get this part over and done with as quickly and as discreetly as possible. So you can just explain why you would like to do this when you're asking. So for instance, I am from this area and would prefer to arrive dressed casually for sake of discretion if that's okay with you. And then you can promise to make it up to him in the room with an extra special outfit and bring it with you to change into once there. So you don't want to rid him of that fantasy and opportunity to see a beautiful woman all dressed up in dress and heels or whatever it is he's requested. Dress and heels is a go-to if he hasn't said something specific. He obviously probably wants that experience, but he also understands the need for discretion. So if you come dressed in flat shoes, perhaps nice pants and a top, I've even had some girls go to bookings in gym clothes before and they've just told the client, and then they've had a dress and heels, and in the room they change, and then before they leave they change again. It doesn't look as inconspicuous, you just kind of in your gym gear in the city. If you stepped into the hotel and you do happen to see someone that you know, which again is statistically unlikely, but if you do, you can say, I just popped in here to use the bathroom. And then you can walk straight to the bathroom and you can text your client and say, I'm just waiting a few minutes in the bathroom, or arrange something else with him to handle that situation. So I've never had a client say, no, you have to come dressed this way. They've never said that before. They're always very understanding and very cooperative. So don't be afraid to do this. What matters most is both of you feeling comfortable, and he will feel more comfortable when you are more comfortable. If you turn up and you're a nervous wreck, you're breaking out in a sweat and you're about to start crying because you're terrified that you're going to see someone that you know, you're not going to make him feel good, and he's not going to have a high quality, valuable experience. So give that to him by creating the best circumstances for him and for you. And don't be afraid to do any or all of these things. So I hope that these tips have been helpful for you today. Give them a try and let me know how they go. Hit me up on isabel@foxgirls.com.au, and I can't wait to speak with you again soon in our next lesson.